Well, good evening, everyone. It is about 8:45 Central Time here on Monday evening. Wanted to get on here and do an updated forecast video here. We've just gotten the latest model runs here for this evening, and to say they were exciting if you're a storm chaser, maybe a little bit uneasy if you're someone here in the area, North Texas, Southern Oklahoma. Definitely, it paints a pretty big time picture of potential some significant severe weather on Wednesday late afternoon, early evening. So what we're looking at here, this is the Storm Prediction Center Day 3 outlook here. And so really what this is kind of looking at where the main threat areas are. And so currently we've got this yellow slight risk area really across a lot of Arkansas, southeastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas. It doesn't currently encapsulate really much of the DFW Metroplex, kind of just on the western edge in that marginal risk, the dark green there. Wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow maybe this is extended a little bit further to the west, given what some of the model runs are showing tonight and what I'm about to show you. So definitely this is, I think, the time to start being weather aware and paying attention. Again, this is going to be for Wednesday, late afternoon, early evening. So now I want to take a look at some of the models here. I want to start off by looking at really the dew point and moisture that's going to be present. When we kind of take a look here throughout the day, again, this is looking at kind of, I guess we'll just start with Wednesday evening here. This is showing really this area here, really 60 plus dew points, greater high 60s down southeast Texas, even Dallas Fort Worth, almost 64, 65. Red River, kind of low 60s dew points into southern Oklahoma. Very moist environment, especially for February. So again, Wednesday, this will be February 15th. So quite the moist environment here. Seeing moisture get all the way up to the Red River here, which I think is something that's been a little questionable with some of the recent model runs. But again, tonight's runs showing a pretty significant amount of moisture getting all the way up towards the Red River. Another thing that's helpful to look at is kind of what the low-level winds are going to be doing. And what we can see here is that this is again at right about 6 p.m. on Wednesday evening. You can see some of these darker colors here. If we look at, again, kind of around the Red River, Durant, Ardmore area, this is showing 35 to 40 knots of flow. And typically the 850 height, that's going to be a little bit off the ground, typically what's called the low-level jet, which is pretty important if you're going to get rotating thunderstorms or tornadoes. You want to see typically a value really over 35 is going to be an environment capable of producing supercells. And so again, what we're looking at here is really across kind of Dallas-Fort Worth, right around that 35 target, along the Red River, a little bit higher values up to around 40 knots or so. So certainly supportive of that environment. And so what we can see is we've got the low-level wind field here that's supportive of supercells and certainly severe thunderstorms. Then when we go and we look again at that moisture, again, looking at dew points in the low 60s, low to mid 60s along the Red River, that's more than enough for severe thunderstorms and supercells. We've got kind of this dry line setting up here. What the dry line is really just a dividing line between the moist air, where we're seeing 60s, 60s, 60s here, and just almost a couple miles to the west. Look, 16-degree dew point here. We move over one county, 63-degree dew point. So that's what's considered a dry line. It's a real steep gradient of dry air to the west, really pushing out to the east, and then really setting up with that moist environment just to the east. This difference creates a little bit of a convergence zone, which can fire off those storms. And when you get such a big degree of difference here, that can really be an environment that's primed for some really powerful storms and supercells and really all modes of severe weather. So certainly looking at that environment looks pretty potent there. Definitely uptrending with these runs. Now, when we look at some of the just kind of reflectivity here, this is kind of an example of what the radar might look like. So this 21, this is going to be at 3 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. And again, kind of watch this Red River area right here. Now, when we move forward, this would be 4 p.m. Let me scroll down a little bit. This would be showing, again, look at that area right along the Red River, right about 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. We can see a pretty potent environment of these storms kind of right along that dry line. Again, we look kind of right here. We go back to dew points, look at the dry line, right along the dry line, right there. You can see where those storms are erupting. So again, we go back to that composite reflectivity, kind of what the simulated radar would look like, and we can see those storms really all the way up into southern Oklahoma, kind of down around the Red River, almost hinting at even down really across like much of Denton County here, showing some storms popping up. Then you can see those pushing off kind of to the east, and certainly the environment would be supportive of all modes of severe weather, tornadoes, certainly hail, severe winds, and some pretty intense downpours if you're underneath one of these cells. So definitely looks like an environment. Another thing we can look at is a forecast sounding right along the Red River around Durant. We can see an environment, again, I think we've talked in previous videos about this, which is the hodograph. And so when you look at this kind of turning of the winds with height, that's something that's necessary for tornadoes. And so you can see that this is a pretty elongated hodograph here in the first really about 2 kilometers or so. And so you can really get that turning of wind and that acceleration with winds as you kind of move up. And then here you can see that winds at the surface are out of almost the due south. Then a little bit higher up, you come out of the southwest, kind of out of the southwest, and then a little bit more kind of west, kind of southwest there above the surface. So you can see that if a parcel is starting at the ground level, it's going to kind of come up. It's going to kind of come up, and then it's going to kind of curve out here. And so that's how you can get that rotating thunderstorm. And certainly supercells that would be capable of producing a tornado there kind of right before sunset. So definitely an environment here that needs to be watched. Again, we're still 2 days out. This is not going to be gospel. Things will change. Don't necessarily pay too close attention to exactly where these little storms are simulated. This will all change. It's not an exact science even 2 days out, and a lot of advancements in technology and forecasting, but certainly not something that you can take with any type of a guarantee. But certainly it looks like this kind of southern Oklahoma, North Texas area could be under the gun Wednesday evening for some pretty significant severe weather, really including all modes, tornadoes, hail, severe winds, and certainly some pretty heavy rainfall as well. So I'll try to keep you updated. Certainly if we see this anywhere close to this environment, I'll be out there chasing on Wednesday afternoon and evening. So stay tuned for more updates as we get a little bit closer, and also make sure you kind of follow the National Weather Service Fort Worth office. They put out a lot of great updates on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So make sure you follow them for kind of those more precise and up-to-date kind of advancements with the forecast as we move a little bit further. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, no need to panic, but certainly prepare now and make sure that for Wednesday evening, whether it's church or activities after school, that you have a plan in place for your family. Thanks, everybody.